welcome back. So I've been meaning to film this video for a little while now, but you know, new mom life, you just don't know when you're gonna get the time to do things. So this video is about my natural birth experience. So if you haven't watched the birth vlog, go ahead, I'm gonna put it in the description box so you can watch that. But there's more details that I'm going to share with you in today's video. So, I really, I had followed a lot of birth doulas and, just kind of tried to get as much information as I could about trying to do it naturally, without the epidural, just because I've had a lot of people who said like get it, some people said don't get it. Of course all the family members and friends like want to tell you what their advice would be. As a first time mom, you just don't know what to expect. You really just don't know. I just felt like after going through everything, you look up all kinds of different things and you just try to know as much as you can, but you're not going to know what it's like unless you go through it. So anyway, I am watching him on the monitor, so you'll probably see me glancing at it a lot. When I went to the hospital, I just told them that, I wasn't sure if I was going to get the epidural. I just was like, I'm going to do it as long as I can without it. And of course you can't get the epidural after, I think you're at 8 centimeters. So anyway, I went in and I was 3 centimeters and 80% effaced when I got there. And I got induced, just because I just was ready to be done being pregnant. I didn't really have any risk factors, but they said as long as I was past 39 weeks, it was fine, because there was a study done that, a lot of people could get induced at 39 weeks safely and have a really successful birth and all of that. So anyway, I was 40 weeks to the day when I got induced. I went in about 10 a.m. They only started the oxytocin around noon, and we were there for a while. I was doing a lot of walks around because they said as much movement as possible, will help get everything moving. And I was comfortable with it. Like, I really wasn't feeling any contractions, but they were telling me I had contractions. And then I think it was about like 6 o'clock they had checked me, and I think I was like 4.5 to 5 centimeters dilated. They just turned up the Pitocin a little bit, and then they had the nurses like switch shifts and everything. So it kind of was like a little while until they had updated each other on, how everything was going. And then, I was pretty comfortable, but I was getting a little bit of the contractions, but I didn't think that they were really significant, that they were really that painful or anything like that. There were other pain options, but I didn't feel like I needed them. And some of the side effects people said that they weren't a big fan of, so I just was like, nah, I'm good. And I was able to breathe through the contractions fine. Like, I did a lot of the breathing techniques that I had looked up, and that was working really well for me. And just sucking on ice chips and lollipops a lot throughout the day, because you can't eat anything until after you give birth, once you're induced, or once you're in labor. And then I kind of was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take a nap. Like, I was tired and I didn't really, like, the contractions were not that bad to me at all. Sometimes I was like, I barely feel this one. So then we took a nap and I woke up around like 11 o'clock, and I was just kind of laying there, and then all of a sudden I felt a pop, and I was like, pretty sure my water just broke. And then I rolled over and sat up and I felt it. It wasn't like a big gush, but just a little trickle out. Called the nurse and everything, and she was like, yep, your water broke. And so then she had me sit up in what they call the throne position. And so you're just sitting like pretty much straight up, and you're just like on this little ledge, and then your knees are bent. So they just changed the whole bed around. Anyway, and then, so she had me sit there for 45 minutes, and she was like, okay, whenever you feel like some intense pressure down there, like let me know and I'll check you. And I was like, okay. So we were sitting there, and then it was, I don't know, 30 minutes into it, or maybe around 45 minutes. I was like, yeah, like they're getting more intense. Like contractions were getting more intense, and I was breathing through them, and I was like, okay, I think I might want to get the epidural. So then I called, or the nurse came in, and she was just like, she turned up the Pitocin a little bit more. But she just said, you know, let me know when they're getting more intense. And I was like, yeah, like I think they're getting more intense. Can you check me? Because they have to check you before they give you the epidural and make sure that you aren't past 8 centimeters. So she checked me, and she was like, she didn't tell me right away. And I was like, okay, so where am I at? And she's like, you're at 9 centimeters. And I was like, oh my God. And I had a tear because I was scared. I was like, oh my God, that means I definitely can't get the epidural. And Zach was there, and I was like, okay. And he was like, babe, it's okay. Like, you can do this. You know, this is really what you wanted to do. You wanted to do it naturally. And I was like, you're right. I really did. And that's what I was aiming to do anyway. And I was like, you know what? I've been breathing through it so far. You know, I mean, I know it's going to get more intense, but I was like, you know, as long as I have you, I can do this. And, you know, he did everything he possibly could. I mean, he, you know, so I just continued to breathe through the contractions, and he gave me ice chips. He had like a washcloth, cold washcloth that he would keep putting over my forehead and my neck just to help me keep cool and everything. And then after that, as things were getting more intense, and we tried all kinds of different positions, I was like squatting on the floor, and Zach was supporting me from the back, which I thought was great. And I had like, I guess, a little lip from my cervix that they were trying to get him past. So once we got past that, it was a little bit more of a smooth birth process. Then we did some more pushing. So I was pushing for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. You know, I mean, initially it wasn't as hard, I guess. But, you know, of course, the contractions get more intense. So then in the end, we were using one of the nurses, and she had known about this like tug of war technique. So it was like where they tied up the sheet and had like 2 knots at the end. And so I was holding on to that, and that was helping me really push. And I think I had a hard time understanding how to push exactly, I think, or like against the contractions. But once I learned how to do that, each one became easier to push against. And honestly, I was like thinking afterwards, that how I just don't think I would have known to do that or how to push really well if I would have got the epidural. And so I'm really kind of happy that I didn't get the epidural for that reason, because I'm afraid that I probably would have had a C-section or something. I also didn't expect to have as big of a baby. We really thought he was going to be smaller, because I was 2 weeks late when I was born, and I was only 7.5 pounds. And my husband was 2 weeks early, but he was only 6 pounds at birth. So we really didn't expect him to be 8.5 pounds. And the midwife that delivered him, she said she's been doing it for 15 years and she never saw a placenta that big. So I had a really big placenta too. And I mean, I felt huge. So I'm really glad that I got induced at 40 weeks, and don't know how big he would have been after that. If and when we do it again, I will probably do it the same way. Because the other thing is, then I did have a hemorrhage right after I gave birth to him, because his hand was up by his face like this, and they think maybe his nails like cut me in the birth canal or something. And they thought maybe hi, babe.
Hi. Sorry.
So they thought maybe I had a tear in the uterus, but it ended up being in my birth canal. So I didn't have to go into the OR, thank God. So yeah, I mean, everything went well. They stitched me up. That was probably the worst part, was being stitched up, even though they gave me the local anesthetic. I feel like that didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, it did a little bit, but I mean, it was pretty painful. Yeah, so that's kind of how it went, and just been recovering, and I'm feeling a lot better. I mean, the first 2 weeks were really the roughest, but you know, still recovering a little bit. and I'm excited to get cleared in a couple weeks to go back to exercise. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead and leave a comment below. And Gabe wants to say hi.
I'm gonna be her trainer.
Yep. He's gonna be going to the gym with me. Can't wait to get back with him. I love going to the gym with him. I don't know anyone else out there that loves going to the gym with their husbands, but I really enjoy it. Whether we're working out, doing the same workout or not, I just love him being there with me. So, all right. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.